Ladies and gentlemen, there's a reason that Andrew McCabe's attorneys tried to make William Barr and John Durham look bad. There's a reason that they asked for a grand jury decision insinuating or alluding to the possibility, which is almost certainly didn't happen, but alluding to the rare possibility that, the grand jury was given all this information and he wasn't indicted yet. Last week, before the attorneys for Andrew McCabe conducted their public relations stunt, we spoke to prosecutors, and we read media reports, and, a jury was supposed to be handing down a decision. A grand jury. What happened? Earlier last week, those same attorneys went to the Justice Department. They said, hey, there's no evidence that Andrew McCabe lied under oath 3 times with the intent to deceive because his wife received $700,000, almost $700,000 from Terry McAuliffe and Democratic PACs, creating a conflict of interest that should have forced Andrew McCabe to recuse himself from both the Clinton email probe and the Russia probe, which was nonsense, started by a Steele dossier linked to Clinton, who, by the way, Terry McAuliffe is also linked to Clinton, and Terry McAuliffe gave the money to McCabe's wife. Wow, what a coinky-dink. What a coincidence. That had nothing to do with anything, that wasn't above board. Those same lawyers said, please throw out the case. Jesse Liu and William Barr said, no, we're not. We're not throwing out any case. We're going to continue with this. We're going to continue with criminal prosecution. Immediately after that, like 24 hours after that, or maybe 48 hours, they said, he hasn't been indicted yet. Now we find out that what William Barr has received the entire Inspector General report for FISA violations regarding Andrew McCabe. So he's linked to this. So Andrew McCarthy in the National Review said, hey, one reason why he hasn't likely been indicted is because they're still looking at, they have to classify and find out what's declassified within the Inspector General report. So you have all of this information coming out. He had his names on all the warrants. So did Comey. Comey said he didn't allow McCabe to leak information, which is why he lied under oath. He leaked information about a Clinton Foundation probe, which, it's so bizarre. With Democrats say, doesn't that prove that he's neutral? It's like, no. There was a Clinton Foundation probe. Were they investigating the Uranium One sale? What's happened with that probe? Democrats, what they've done is they say, we've investigated, we found nothing. It's like, no, we know what you're doing. You're pretending to investigate. You're not doing anything. And then you're saying, we investigated. Then you're leaking information about investigations under the guise of being neutral and impartial, just like Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who was forced to resign. So he leaked the information to the Wall Street Journal, not to let the country know, hey, you know what, the Clinton Foundation is finally being investigated. He leaked information to the Wall Street Journal because he wanted to make it seem that, his wife taking money from Terry McAuliffe and Clinton allies, $700,000 for her campaign, that's not that big of a deal. Then the rebuttal from her is interesting. He said, he took the money. We took the money after the campaign or before the campaign or before the Clinton email investigation. It's like, who cares? The money was transferred. If you give somebody $5 for lunch or whatever, $10 for lunch, you let them borrow $10 for lunch in February, May or June, they ask you for a favor, they're in a bind, or whatever, you'll remember that the money they lent you, or gave you. So now we get to finally the fact that the Inspector General report is out. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is a really, really interesting article. Why do you think an absolute avalanche of new evidence is coming out? Why do you think they want to make it seem like there wasn't an indictment and, Trump is just going to do anything possible to get this going, and this is, what happens in an authoritarian regime? They know that ahead of them is the FISA. Those attorneys probably already knew that Michael Horowitz was done with the FISA report, the Inspector General report. That's going to be all-encompassing. That's going to ask questions like, well, why did Andrew McCabe sign off on the FISA application in an unusual way? This is a great article by Washington Examiner. Ex-FBI lawyer Carter Page FISA application approved in an unusual way by McCabe, Yates, and Baker. Now, I write in the Federalist, and Rush Limbaugh shared my article twice, in 2 days in a row. Why is everything linked to Clinton? Of course, she's running again. Why do you think I have these Hillary 2020 stickers? For my health? She's running again, and she's going to lose again. That's not relevant to what's taking place. This is a quest for political influence, and it won't ever stop until the Clintons either achieve what they want, and we can go on forever here. Ex-FBI lawyer Carter Page FISA application approved in unusual way by McCabe, Yates, and Baker. So, let's read this. A former top lawyer for the FBI described to lawmakers the unusual way the surveillance request targeting former Trump campaign associate Carter Page was handled by top leadership at the Justice Department and FBI. Okay, so there is a woman named Trisha Anderson who was supposed to be looking at the Steele dossier, which, by the way, the Steele dossier was purchased by Clinton. She literally purchased her own Russian hacking myth. But if you look, Anderson said the linear path those applications take was upended in October of 2016 with FBI Director Andrew McCabe and Deputy Attorney General Sally Yates signing off on the application before she did. Because of that unusual high-level involvement, she didn't see the need to second-guess the FISA application. Or she was told, lay off it. Or, in one way, and this is how they work. They don't say, well, you got a letter from Sally Yates saying, do not touch this FISA application. We're setting up and framing Trump. We're using a dossier purchased by Clinton. And we're using gossip from Alexander Downer, who is linked to the Clinton Foundation. Don't do anything. We'll take care of it from here. That's not the way they work. That's not the way they work. The way they do things is you have Trisha Anderson, who should have looked at the FISA application, saying, okay. You have Yates and McCabe, the top officials who run the place, looking at this. And nobody's asked for my input. So that's the best case scenario. So she's like, well, I'm not going to do anything. Quote, because there was very high level discussions that occurred about the FISA, Anderson says she believed that meant the FISA essentially had already been well vetted all the way up through at least the Deputy Director Andrew McCabe's level. On our side, through Deputy Attorney General Yates on the DOJ side, Yates had already signed the application by the time it made it to Anderson's desk. Because the FISA application had already been approved at such high levels, Anderson said she did not look at the Page FISA application with much skepticism. Quote, I wouldn't view it as my role to second-guess the substantive approval that had already been given by the Deputy Director McCabe and by the Deputy Attorney General Yates in this particular instance. Meaning, you don't want to rock the boat because you could get fired. And at a certain point, I write also in the Federalist, Durham is looking at a statute, the 18371 legal statute, that talks about defrauding the United States government. That's the collusion statute they try to use against Trump. The only problem is they're the ones who colluded against Trump, not Trump working with Russia. That's nonsense. It's the most absurd narrative ever. It's so ridiculous. But anyway, Anderson stressed that McCabe, Yates, and Baker all played key roles in reviewing that page. FISA, hey, James Baker's under criminal investigation. When's he getting indicted? These are all FBI officials. Gee, isn't it interesting how they're under criminal investigation getting indicted? Quote, my approval at that point was really purely administrative in nature. In other words, the substantive issues, the FISA had already been substantively been approved by people much higher than me in the chain of command. There you go. Anderson said it was typically would not have been the case that people such as McCabe and Yates would sign off on a FISA application before she did. Well, of course, because they were setting up and framing Trump. With a dossier that was purchased by Clinton. Ex-FBI lawyer, Carter Page FISA application approved in unusual way by McCabe, Yates, and Baker. McCabe and Baker under criminal investigation. Sally Yates, thought she was a hero by not abiding. What happened? She resigned. She was forced to resign because she refused. There's a whole story. Anyway, interesting how when President Obama was deporting 3 million human beings, suddenly there were no acts of conscience then. There were no resignations or refusal to abide by presidential executive orders. But if it's Trump, oh my God, all the courage comes out. Anyway, this is a great article by Jerry Dunleavy in the Washington Examiner. This is probably 1/100th of what we'll find out from the Inspector General report. And so they're like, well, he hasn't been indicted yet. I guess the grand jury couldn't find anything. Oops, yeah, let me know what you got, DOJ. It's like, no, Andrew McCabe attorneys. McCabe and everyone else, the entire Democratic Party media machine, oh my God, they were so happy. They were so happy and they were so giddy when people were being indicted based on lying to FBI agents, and we have no clue if they did. We have no clue. We have to trust the FBI agents and their 302s. It's not even recorded. That's dangerous, people. That's very dangerous. Here you have McCabe lying under oath in the Office of Professional Responsibility, saying he lied, and the IG report saying he lied with intent to deceive. The FBI has a hilarious department called the Office of Professional Responsibility. There's like cobwebs and dust and, nobody's ever been there, I guess. There is no professional responsibility at the FBI. Especially not when Comey and McCabe and Strzok and Page were there. Strzok and Page are stooping each other, saying, oh, he's not going to become president, right? Oh, don't worry, we'll stop him. I'm the lumberjack. We'll stop Trump. Well, you didn't stop Trump, and then you're exposed. You lose. Thanks for playing. I was the number 2 in counterintelligence. Really? Can you tell us how she transferred top secret and special access program intel outside of JWICS or other secure locations? Oh, we can't go into that. The entire planet infiltrated Clinton's servers running on Microsoft Exchange software. You're supposed to be the counterintelligence officer. Strzok, what are you doing flying to London? Oh, that's right. Interviewing Christopher Steele, who was outsourced to write the Steele dossier. The whole thing is nonsense, people. The whole thing is absurd. Absolutely, positively absurd. But again, we have a situation where everyone's waiting for, two things are going to happen. One, McCabe's going to get indicted. But one thing that is going to take place and it's going to rock the world, Hillary Clinton's going to run again. I've been telling you she's going to run. And all the deepest, darkest fears, and people are going to be petrified, and people on the left will be like, no, this is not happening. We really do have a Democratic Party. It's like, you do not have a Democratic Party. I keep saying that. It's an extension of Bill and Hillary. That's it. That is it, people. It's an extension of Bill and Hillary Clinton. And I've been saying this for a long, long time. I'm the only person saying this. And I've been the only person saying this consistently since 2017. It'll be the biggest, not to toot my own horn, I haven't been right about everything. I've been right about most things when you look at my analysis in aggregate, but it'll be the biggest political call, in years and years and years. Give me your thoughts below. They're waiting for the IG report. The IG report is already in William Barr's hands. They can give the declassified documents to the grand jury, or they can get a new grand jury with even more, with the classified documents or the declassified documents, or even some of the classified documents. Who knows? From the IG report. Either way, if it's a new grand jury, this grand jury, McCabe committed crimes, and he set up and framed Trump. We know this. Trump's personality, whatever. One reason to vote for Trump in 2020, and I like his personality, but one reason to vote for Trump in 2020 is that he's going up against corrupt intelligence officials. That's reason enough. In addition to he wants to bring home Americans from counterinsurgency conflicts, in addition to 3.7% unemployment, the economy's doing well. Foreign policy is doing a lot better than under President Obama. He's a good president. But if there's no reason at all to vote for Trump, if there's just one reason, aside from one reason, it's the fact that he's going up against corrupt intelligence chiefs who have no business trying to decide the course of U.S. history on their own. And that's dangerous. And it's interesting that Democrats are like, you should care about election interference. Like, no. If they inform us of your corruption or Republican corruption, what do I care? Give me your thoughts below. Check out H.A. Goodman's other channel right this second. And subscribe to my new sports channel. The links are below in the pinned comment. Thank you.